Welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. And in today's video, we are continuing ReZero Avatar Lost. What if Aang was in ReZero Season 2, Part 5? Going into Part 5, you could say that this is the precursor for the Season 2 finale next week when we do Part 6. And before we get to that point, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been rocking with this story particularly. Even though it hasn't been the most popular here on the channel, I've kind of been doing a lot of story cutting this year so far, and I wanted to take a step back from doing that. So it was really satisfying to be able to see this thing through till the end. So for everyone who's been enjoying this story, for all the support that it's gotten, I want to say thank you to you all before we start this series. But what's going to be next for this story in general? We do know that ReZero is going to be getting a Season 3. We haven't had the release date, but we can assume it'll probably be either sometime this year or earlier next year. Now, with a story like this, we can always come back and continue it if it grows in popularity, so we'll just have to play things by ear and see how things shake out between now and then. But remember, with a lot of things here on this channel, there's never really an end. It's more of a see you later. And hopefully, maybe down the line, we can continue this story once more. But without further ado, let's get into today's video. So as always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. There was an uneasiness within the Castle of Dreams. Garfield being brought into a spiritual realm where Aang resided, along with meeting the Witch of Greed, Echidna. For Garfield, emotions of anger and rage, sadness and confusion all washed over him all at once. He was now face to face with one of the witches. As he looked towards Aang, his blood would begin to boil, as his aura would begin to manifest around him. Believing that he had been tricked by Aang and was now led into some kind of trap. However, Echidna would smooth things over, doing her best to explain why he had been brought here. However, Garfield wasn't trying to hear it. He was now stuck, who knows where, with one of the witches? But at the same time, he knew he not dare move. Being in an area he was unfamiliar with, he knew that he was on enemy territory. Echidna wouldn't beat around the bush. She knew a lot about Garfield. After all, she was able to pry into the boy's mind, exposing his innermost insecurities, the things that were truly holding him back. She would explain the origins of the Ryuzus, the clones, the story of the sanctuary and the barrier. For Garfield, there were things he knew and things he didn't know. The truths about the old hag, why the barrier was created in the first place. Aang could only stand back and watch. It was only going to work if Garfield knew the truth, and at some point, these were the things he were going to have to accept. However, it was when she started talking about his mother that things took a turn. Garfield was not too thrilled with anyone speaking of the truth of his mother to him. However, you could say that when it came to digging up the past, it was what Echidna was best at. The unsettling truths as to why he wanted to stay in the sanctuary. The death of his mother, the abandonment by his sister. The boy had been through a lot of hurt in his life, and he wasn't sure of just how much more he could take. As Echidna came to the end of her soliloquy, Garfield had only one thing on his mind. Witch be damned. He was gonna rip her apart. He transformed into his monstrous beast state as he lunged towards her, only to be pushed back by Aang, who stood on the defense. Garfield, I understand why you're angry. Shut the hell up! You brought me here. Why? Is this what you wanted? It's probably exactly what you wanted. I'm sick of you, Roswald, and the witch. All of you want to play your games with me, with us. You want to know why I took the role of being the barrier? It's because I don't want my people to get hurt anymore. It's because of you. It's always been because of you. I am sick of this damn world taking everything from me. Of this world playing its sick and twisted games, acting like I'm its guinea pig or something. I'm not. I won't be. No. Here's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna rip you and that stupid, grinning, silver-haired bitch apart. Then I'm getting out of here. And I ain't letting no one finish that sanctuary trial. The half-elf, Roswald, the pink-haired maid, all of them. I'm gonna kill them! No, you're not. Aang spoke with authority, the wind bellowing around him as he walked towards the monstrous Garfield. I am sorry for what you've gone through. Truly I am. If there's any way I could possibly help you now, I would. But I'm not letting you do that. I won't let you do that. Let me make this very clear. If you try to cause harm to any of my friends, I'll kill you. Aang was shocked at his own choice of words. Just how much had he changed? He never thought he'd be a killer. He didn't relish in the idea or the thought. But time was of the essence. Or maybe not, depending on where they were at the moment. For now, he needed Garfield's cooperation. What happened next would be a long and drawn-out battle between Aang and Garfield. Air versus Earth. Echidna would drink her tea and watch as the two boys slugged it out. Aang absorbing all of the blows that came from Garfield, the attacks of Earth being thrown his way, the punches that rattled his head, and Aang responding with concussive blast of wind, both destructive and slashing. The fight lasted for what seemed like eternity until Garfield finally transformed and the two boys passed out. Echidna finishing her tea as she looked on. I don't trust you, Baldy. I don't blame you. You know, if you're trying to convince me, you could have said anything other than that. I don't know what else to say, Garfield. I need your help. Why did you bring me here? I can explain, Echidna would say. He brought you here because in this realm, time does not pass on the outside world. You two could stay here for maybe an infinite amount of time, and yet it'll be just as the same as when you left here. What? Time passes differently? Then why am I brought you here because I need your help. I need to learn the ways of Earth, and you're the only one that can teach me. The ways of Earth. What, like Earth magic? I mean, I have the affinity for it, but I particularly like to fight with my hands. Although I can make the ground shake or move at my whim, though. Just what exactly would you get out of that type of training? It'll go a long way, I promise you. But I need to learn it. Look, I'll explain everything to you. At least what I can. There are some things, Garfield, that I just can't tell you. He's right, Garfield. You could say that he's in a tricky predicament. It's not something he can speak of freely with just anyone. But he can speak to you about it. Forgive me, but if there's something that's so massive and he can only talk to the Witch of Greed, then forgive me if I'm a little more than skeptical. I understand why you are. I won't deny the optics of the situation, Garfield. However, I can assure you there is no malice in this area. He has brought you here because he truly does need your help. If not, everything will be lost. The sanctuary, Rem, your sister, my sister. What about her? There's gonna be an attack. In 2 days' time, there's going to be an attack on the mansion. Your sister's going to die. How do you know? It's Roswald. It's all a part of his game. He's trying to get something out of me. He's forcing me to choose. Either I save the people of the mansion, or I save the sanctuary. He won't allow me to save both. And I know I'm not strong enough to do so at the moment. That's why I need your help. So that's it then, huh? Roswald's play, Garfield would think to himself. And you want my help? If anything, we should just team up and kill him. It would be a whole lot easier. It's not that simple. No matter what happens, we have to save the mansion and the sanctuary. And we can't kill him. What? If what you said is true, then why not? He's been screwing you over, apparently, and me for the longest of times. The way I see it, why don't we take it to that clown bastard and just be done with him? Because we need him. I need him at least. Look, there are a lot of things happening in the world right now. A lot of things bigger than even you and I in this moment. Whether we like it or not, Roswald has connections, powers, things that can help us on the outside. He's still the watcher over this manor. We're going to need him regardless. Killing him would only bring temporary satisfaction, and it would only bring more harm along the way. And besides, we'd only be playing into his hands, giving him almost exactly what he wants. You really think so? I know so. I have no intentions on forgiving him. That's an entirely different thing. But still, if having him around can be influential and beneficial for our cause, then it's all the more reason to keep him. Just think of him as nothing more but a money cow or something like that. He's nothing but to be used. Whether or not he wants redemption, that's on him. I don't give a damn what he wants. But if what we do can actually put a screw to his plans, then I'm all for it. So you're saying we can train here as long as we want to, witch? I would prefer you call me Echidna, please. Echidna. Yes, you can train here as long as you want. Time won't pass on the outside world, so it will be beneficial to you. However, I must warn Garfield, while you may have an infinite amount of time, I wouldn't suggest staying here any longer than needed. Aang is a special case from you. With his status as the Avatar and with his connections, his mind won't be as mentally drained from being in this realm. You, on the other hand, do not share in that mental fortitude. What, you trying to call me stupid? No, I'm just stating the fact. If you stay here for an extended period of time, then you won't even have a point in going back to your world. You'll be nothing but a vegetable at that point. Oh. I can keep track of things and let you know when it's time to wrap things up. But until then, if you're going to train, then I suggest you give it your all and go all out. After all, if you're going to win, then you're going to need to do your best. The two would agree, and Aang and Garfield would get to work. The differences between magic and bending, while different, were also similar. This was something Aang noted when it came to his water bending training with Rem. Even though she only used water magic, the principle still applied, and for Earth, it was just the same. For Aang, his earthbending training, his mastery over the earth, it came from him learning to be immovable, to be unshakable, to have a stone-like exterior and a stone-like mentality. From Garfield, the training was rigorous, physically exhausting on his part. It was about learning in a way opposite of the style of Earth. Instead of being free-flowing, free-moving, someone who was having a heart of stone had to be someone who was immovable, unshakable. Their resolve had to be rock solid. It was about being focused, and for Aang, he applied that to his earthbending training. I see. So you have the ability to bend 4 elements naturally, and you're thinking that training with me will help you improve in bending earth. Well, from the guidelines to what I can tell you, you have to know exactly what you're doing and what you want. The earth itself, it's all around you. It's connected to you every time you walk. I noticed it the way you fight. It's like you got a couple of twinkle toes. You fight like someone who tries to be light on their feet. You move with the wind. That makes you agile, but at the same time, it leaves you at the beck and call to the changes of the wind itself. Think about what Earth is. It's something that's unshakable, unmovable. It's rock solid. It's a foundation that can be relied upon. When the stone is steadfast, nothing can shake it. Your resolve when commanding the earth has to be the same. If you come at it half-hearted, it won't work or be effective. When it comes to earth, you have to dominate just as much as the earth can dominate you. You have to be able to show that you are worthy of commanding its respect. With that, Garfield came up with an interesting way of testing Aang, and that was by throwing rocks. Very big rocks. Rocks the size of cannons. And for Aang, he had to stop one in midair. It was easier said than done, Aang spending a lot more time dodging than he would have liked to. But Garfield had a quick way around that. Some ankle weights, as well as some wrist weights. They were definitely a lot heavier than they looked, and for Aang, he could hardly move. He could hardly lift his arms and legs, just barely being able to get a decent jog going. He couldn't run so freely, and Garfield only continued the intensity. The only way it's gonna stop is when you make it stop. Otherwise, you're gonna end up getting your head taken off. Aang would fight for his life in this moment, trying his best to dodge against the stone-like mounds being thrown at him. But Aang knew he couldn't keep this up forever. He couldn't just run away. It would be like running from his problems. Hadn't he learned not to do that? He had to take a stand. When Garfield thought he finally had him cornered, Aang stood at the ready. Seems like he ain't got no more energy left to run there. Garfield readied himself for the throw. If you don't want to die, then you better stop it this time. Garfield launched the hunk of rock towards him, Aang keeping his eyes focused on it. Visualizing, he thought about everyone and everything he wanted to protect in that moment. If stopping that rock, if not being able to do so, meant that he'd lose it all, then it would come down to this moment. Aang held up his hands, focusing and intensifying his training, until eventually the rock came slowing to a halt, inches away from his fingertips. For Aang, he felt like he was holding something heavy, although his arms were not filled with anything at all. The earth was floating. Aang finally letting it drop in front of him. Garfield was impressed to see that Aang had that much resolve within him. And with that, the training would continue. Eventually, Echidna would warn that it was time for them to leave. And Garfield He was satisfied with how far Aang had come. I wouldn't call you a master, but you definitely got the fundamentals of Earthbending. At the very least, you'll be able to hold your own a lot better. Even if this world isn't physical, I already feel more drained than I ever have before. In either case, I guess it's time for us to be getting back then. As they prepared to leave, Garfield would turn to Echidna. For what it's worth, Garfield, I am sorry. Save it. No point in apologizing now. What's done is done. I've moved past it. You know, if he were to take on the trial right now, Aang, Echidna would say, he could actually pass. But I'm assuming you're still leaving it to Amelia, aren't you? Of course. I have faith in her. I know she'll do it. You put too much trust in that girl. It'll be your downfall. But oh well. We all know you can always start again. Except I don't plan to. Just because I can return, it doesn't mean that that's my only option. Until I've given it my all and done my very best, I don't intend on just throwing my life away. After all, I've been taught to value it, haven't I? Yes, you have. As Aang and Garfield left, Echidna would simply smile. Of all the avatars that could have come, I believe I can say without a shadow of a doubt, Aang, you will be the best of them all. As Aang and Garfield made their returns, their bodies awakening inside of the sanctuary. True to Echidna's word, no time had passed at all. However, the time for them was ticking. In the meanwhile, Amelia would still be going through her own struggles. From the loss of Puck, to the feeling of helplessness and emptiness as she began to regain her memories, the contract between she and Puck being broken that sealed them away. Aang would visit her. Of course, he was going to be leaving soon. And even more so, he knew that he couldn't leave her the way she was now. But Amelia, she was so scared. She had so many worries and so many fears in that moment. She couldn't deny that she held Aang in great high esteem. The boy had been so helpful to her in so many ways, while she had only been a burden. How many times had he saved her life? Had he saved the lives of those she was supposed to protect? Right now, her only job was to break free of the barrier, the one that locked away the sanctuary, and even still, she couldn't do that. And the more she remembered, the more she wondered. If Aang knew the truth, if he knew about what she truly was, what she had truly done, could he even still love her? Of course, for Aang, this was beyond any of the reassurance that he could give. As he comforted Amelia in the night, as she prepared herself inside of the sanctuary alone, the two would have a heart-to-heart. For Amelia, she let free of her insecurity, laying known all the fears, the worries, and the doubts that she held deep within. For Aang, he understood the way he had felt, how he had felt about leaving his world, about running away from his duties, from his past. Amelia was suffering from the same thing. Amelia, Aang would say, I appreciate that you think so highly of me, but you give me too much credit. But I don't. You're amazing. Every part of you. There's nothing you can't do. You think that, but if you knew the truth about me, you wouldn't think that way. The truth is, I'm a coward. I ran away from my home, from my duties as the Avatar, my responsibilities. If it hadn't been for me running, I probably wouldn't even be here right now. The world I left, it's in ruin. And sadly enough, I'll never be able to do a thing about it. That's the burden I bear, and one that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Everything I've done in this world, I've only done it because I've tried to make up for my own mistakes in the past, my own failures. But truthfully, I can never make up for what I've done. No matter how many lives I save in this world, no matter how many times people look to think of me as a hero, I know that's what I'll never be. Truthfully, I can't save anyone. I was a failure back then, and I'm a No, you're not! You made a mistake, but that doesn't define you. If anything, I'm proof that you can save the people of the village. Rem and Ram, everyone. We all depend on you and count on you. And I do the same for you all. I depend on you all just as much. If we just depend on each other, then I guess we'll always be useless. I don't see it that way. Wanting to accept help, knowing that you can't handle everything on your own? When was that considered a weakness? If anything, it's strong. The true weakness is knowing that you need help but refusing to ask or to accept when it's given. Those who struggle in vain, pointlessly, those are the true weaklings. But true strength is learning to overcome those doubts, to overcome the things that try to hold us down. That's why I have faith in you. It's why I know you can complete the trial. We all have the utmost confidence. I promise. Amelia would hold Aang's hand in that moment, the two of them being awfully close to one another. In the heat of the moment, Aang would steal a kiss from Amelia. Amelia was shocked by the gesture, but even more so, as Aang would tie a new gemstone around her neck, a blue gemstone. I promise I'll always be here, so you don't have to worry. Amelia would be comforted by this, as she gave Aang a hug once more. She could feel Aang's presence around her, even as she drifted further inside of the sanctuary as it began to glow. The people of the village all around supporting her, cheering her on as she went inside. Aang walked out with Garfield as they walked past Ram. So, you're going to be leaving? I have to. We don't have much time to waste. Please, don't worry. Your sister's gonna be fine. I promise. Garfield followed behind as Ram called out, Garfield! Yeah, Ram? Be safe. You're actually worried about me? I just don't want anyone to die unnecessarily. If you do, I think it would be very shameful. Oh, wow. Thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm very confident. I know you won't die so easily, if at all. That's why I'm expecting you to come back. Understood? Yes, ma'am. The two were ready to set off to leave. Otto being entrusted by Aang to help watch over the other villagers. Aang would make one final stop. Roswaal would be in the room, bandaged and reading from the gospel, as Aang opened the door. You arriving was not expected, Aang. I take it things will not be going according to plan. There's no point in hiding. Even if we can't speak freely, we know the truth, don't we? You know what I am. I know what you are. I know what you were. I know what you will be. It's all been written beforehand. Then you know why I'm here? That I do not. So enlighten me. I'm going to stop the attack on the mansion. And I'm going to save the sanctuary. Is that right? Roswalt would ask. You attempt to do both things. That is impossible. Not impossible. I simply know what I want and I'm going to get it. That's simple. That's a greedy mindset of you to have. Well, you know, I've been through a lot recently. And you know what I've learned? Being a little greedy isn't so bad. After all, I have a life of my own. I have things I want. My own goals and aspirations that go beyond just being the Avatar. If that is a fact, then why are you here? Because I need to know that you're not going to try something. If you plan on trying to screw me over, what will you do? Do you plan to fight me? Fighting you would probably be what you'd want. It'd just be a waste of time. And besides, you have your own stakes in this. What you're truly after. Do you know what I want? Do you truly know what I desire? You desire something you can never have. And just what makes you say that? I will get what I want, one way or another. And you are going to help me, Aang. So tell me again, why are you here? Simple. When I save both the sanctuary and the mansion, this comes to an end, and you won't try to double-cross us anymore. In fact, you're going to give Amelia your full support. She will be the next ruler of Lagunica. I promise. I see. You want me alive to be a factor in your plans. I would have expected you to try to kill me. That was definitely an option, and I pondered over it for a long time. You speak so confidently, as if you could kill me so easily. Roswalt would be shocked by the serious look on Aang's face. Make no mistake about it, Roswalt. You take my kindness for weakness. I don't go around throwing threats because that's not who I am. I never want to be that kind of person. It's a waste of time, and honestly, it only lowers my dignity. But let me make this perfectly clear to you. You could train for 1,000 years, die and come back as many times as you like. You still wouldn't even be on my level. I'm not here to pick a fight with you. I'm just here to establish the terms. And everything is in your favor. But what if I win? And what if you simply can't do both? Then I'll give you what you want. What? I have access to things you can only dream of. You could say that me and your friend have become quite fond of one another. Roswalt would grit his teeth. Is that so? Yeah. I could help you see her again if you like. You could. Of course. But that's only if you're willing to take the gamble. A gamble? Exactly. A gamble where all of our hopes and dreams are on the line. You and me. The way I see it, if you have that little faith in me and my powers and abilities, then you should have nothing to worry about. I'll fail just like you expect, and then I'll give you exactly what you want. But if I win, then you give me what I want. You are a greedy avatar, but you have me intrigued. I'll agree to your wager, and when you fail, I'll be expecting you to pay up. And I don't care how much of a distraught state that you are in. I won't let you get out so easily. I'll make sure that you can't die. We'll see. With that, Aang would leave Roswald's sight. He and Garfield taking off immediately on the back of a carrier dragon. They would arrive, but once they got to the mansion, there wouldn't be much time to spare. Until then, Aang and Garfield would go over the plans, what they were going to do once they arrived, and what they'd be facing. Because now, the final showdown had begun. This concludes ReZero Avatar Lost. What if Aang was in ReZero? Season 2, Part 5. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that is to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Naruto DxD, Sage Reborn. What if Naruto was in high school DxD? Season 3, Part 3. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.